One of the things they taught me at Fort Bragg is they said, Mike, we want to teach you a concept. And that concept is called force multiplier. I said, oh, that sounds kind of neat. What is a force multiplier? And they said, what a force multiplier is when if you have an A team of 12 Green Berets and they use GPS, they can call in air support, they can call in artillery, they have local information. In many cases, they can fight like 100 or 200 people. That's called a force multiplier. And one of the things we have to think about when we're using all of the marketing resources we have is you really want to use it like a force multiplier. I want to be able to sell like I have more people. I want to be able to sell like I have participating at more trade shows. So let's look at the concept of being able to, principles of a silent sales force. First thing you have to do is you have to have a complete understanding of the sales, marketing, and elements at your disposal. And during my talk, I'm going to highlight 2 or 3 of those things. But we talked about there's 27,000 of them. You kind of want to get a feel for which one of these things are the most important to you. The next thing you want to do is assemble a unique combination of those elements for each and every client. Here's the problem today, guys. With costs going up of raw materials, with prices increasing, with everybody thinking, I lost my job, so I guess I'll start a roofing business, you got to be right. You got to be right the first time, and you cannot afford to lose any sales conquest. And this is what we're going to help you do. You got to realize that the sale is never, never over. Is that fair? The sale is never over. Those are your potential people that are going to give you leads. Those are the people that are constantly paying attention to. They say, hey, I spent a lot of money for this roof. What did I really get for it? And the next thing we want to do is you got to share the concept with your stakeholders. Everybody in your organization, from the receptionist to doesn't matter who it is, the janitor, if you will, is a member of your silent sales force. And give you an example where you can use something like that. I was working with a doctor's office, and they said, here's the biggest problem we have, Mike. When we get new patients into the doctor's office, the first thing the patient wants to do is they kind of want to schmooze a little bit with the doctor and get to know if the doctor is okay, because after all, you're giving them your life. And they said, so we're trying to find a way to maybe get that person warmed up sooner. And we came up with a real simple concept. And the concept was this. When that nurse is taking you in, okay, and taking all these things, she says to you something like this, ooh, you've got Dr. Johnson. She's wonderful. You're going to love her. What did that nurse just do? That nurse just pre-sold the doctor. And every person and everyone in your company can pre-sell your people. When somebody's scheduling to have the team come out and Lou is the one running the crew, there's nothing to prevent him or her from saying, oh, by the way, Lou's coming out to run that job. You are going to love him. He is fabulous. Okay? That's important to me. I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a roof. You've already pre-sold to me that Lou is the one that I want. That's good. Right? Did that cost you anything? Absolutely not. When I lead that architect, where's all this stuff going to go? Right? That's all going to go in there. Oh, by the way, I finally let the architect talk. And he said, oh, all this stuff is great, Mike. I'm with Habitat of Humanity and wondering if you had a couple roofers that might want to volunteer. Right? Now here's the problem. I did lots of research, didn't I? But I did the wrong research. All of this stuff is incredibly valuable to me as literature. All of these are specific markets, and when I talk in the breakout session about how to position yourself, look at where do I want to be, and we're going to show you how to get there. Which market do I want to be in, or how do I get better in my market? But ultimately, the silent sales force is deciding what specifically do I need to use for that client. And for some clients, it may be one piece of literature. For some clients, it may be the demonstration case. But ultimately, being prepared doesn't mean I have all the stuff. Being prepared means I have all the right stuff for the right person. And if we were to look at it, say this, ultimately what literature is all about, and bear this in mind, guys, with the Ad Plus program, it's great, but I'm playing with the house's money, so let me get a lot of that stuff. If you're going to get a lot of that stuff, get a lot of the right stuff. Know what it is, know what you can do with it. Call them on the phone, ask them how to use it. Keep the cash out of the trash. Now I want you to think about it, guys. All of this stuff that got thrown in here, all this stuff that got thrown in here, right? That's actually cash, isn't it? And if you operate like that, you're throwing the cash in the trash. I don't want you to do that anymore. These are incredible pieces of marketing material. I work with lots of different companies, with Disney and Marriott and Harley Davidson. This is the best stuff I've ever seen. But you got to use it in the right place. Force multiplier. We call in artillery when we need artillery. We call in helicopters when we need helicopters. With literature, the right stuff for the right client in the right way. So we're going to keep the cash out of the car. We're constantly fine-tuning it, okay? So you've got 7 new products out. There's already brochures on it that Duralast has got for you. Okay, that's 7 more to think about in my library. Where should those go? How should those be presented, all right? And ultimately, you want to view it from the perspective of the client. One of the things that Disney people told me when I was working with them is they said, you know what we do, Mike? When we build an exhibit or a ride or something, here's what all of our Imagineers do. We get on our knees, okay? And we then walk on our knees to watch every single piece of that exhibit, because that's the perspective that kids are looking at it from. So ultimately, I want to know what's the perspective that my client is looking at this from. Are they looking at it from a durability perspective? Are they looking at it from a warranty perspective? Are they looking at it from an ease of use perspective? Are they looking at it from an aesthetically pleasing perspective? And you know what? It could be all of those. I doubt it. Generally, people want 2 or 3 things that you have. And what we have a tendency to do is oversell them. And let me tell you why we oversell people. There's a reason for it. In many cases, the reason we oversell people is because we don't believe in our own product. It's true. If I don't believe in it, I got to tell you 10 more things about it, because I can't believe you'd possibly buy this Cadillac for $50,000. But the reason I bought the Cadillac is I like Cadillac. Okay, I don't care about all that stuff you told me. So your silent sales force is constantly fine-tuning. So I've got more people working on it. But the silent sales force now we're talking about is your literature. It's your SEO. It's what gets your face out there. "22 years ago, I had a daughter named Caitlin. And all of a sudden, quitting smoking became the easiest thing in the world for me, because my whole perspective on life changed. And if there's one thing I want to share with you guys, is that everything has changed. And if I'm not going to tell you to embrace it, I hate change. Everybody does. What I am going to tell you is you have to find a way to adapt to it. How many of you guys out there sell and roof? A lot of you out here sell and roof. How many of you are real good roofers? Yeah? How many of you are real good salesmen? Yeah, we got one person says, but you know what? Most people, I bet you'd rather do more roofs than do more selling, wouldn't you? And I've seen people say, oh, I got to go sell this guy, and I don't know what I'm really supposed to do, and you know. If you like roofing, selling isn't easy, but there are some things that you can do to make it easier, and we talk about the silent sales force. So let's look at some of those things we can do for you. Okay, you guys have sales kits. The Mike G kit, you all have those? They're wonderful. It has everything in there. It has every piece of material in there you want, and it even has a piece of material that I call the Abraham Lincoln. There is a piece of material there with a great big stovepipe hat, right? And it looks just like Abraham Lincoln's hat. To me, if I'm calling on somebody, I said, let me show you the best part. Let me show you the Abraham Lincoln part. Now, yes, of course it's watertight, of course it uniquely fits around what it's supposed to do, of course it's welded right, but I'm going to remember the Abraham Lincoln hat, aren't I? Long after I remember that it's a perfect seal. Silent Salesforce is thinking about how do I make the connection with that client. Do you think the best roofer always gets the job? No. How many times have you guys had to go do-overs for somebody else who screwed something up? And you know, my people wouldn't have done shoddy work like that. We wouldn't operate. That's not the way we do it. But here's the scary thing, guys. The people that couldn't do it right got the business. Their silent sales force outsold you. Somehow they got the business and they weren't even good.